I'll remind us so that people join right on time.
Okay, so
Yes.
while we're waiting, how do I share my slide? You can
I'm going to give you, Auntie, I'm
control.
going to give you host control now. So try it now.
Remind us so that people join right on time.
Okay, so while good. Can you see it?
Yes, ma, I can see it.
Oh, good.
It's clear.
Okay, thank you.
I want to send it to the sisterhood group as well. I know you put it there initially, so I didn't bother sending them again.
Okay.
So, mm. Okay, so I have sent out a few reminders. Thank you so much, Auntie Moji, for spending this hour with us. We've been trying to get you back for a while.
You know where to get me.
I know. Yes, ma. Oh, who's here?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know we are also live on YouTube and Facebook.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you for the reminder.
Yeah, that's good.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. I think we will just kick it off. Welcome, everyone, to this special edition of our parenting conversation. We have with us today Auntie Moji Taiwo. She will be sharing on parenting for newcomers.
You're echoing.
I'm going to check why. Hello? Okay, I think it's better now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So today we'll be talking about parenting for newcomers, for immigrants, but I think this conversation is actually important for everyone.
Everyone.
You know, male, female, as long as you're parenting in some form, this is an important conversation to have. It's also important conversation to have in this, month of family violence month in Alberta. So thank you so much, Auntie Moji Taiwo, for gracing our platform. I will just so that we maximize the time that we have, I will have you introduce yourself to us and just dig into it if that's okay.
Okay. So with that, let me start with introduction. I don't know how many people are on right now.
We have 20 people, but I'm sure more people will join eventually.
Excellent. Excellent.
Not counting the people on the watching
on the
live.
other line, yeah. So my name is Moji Taiwo, as you've heard. I am a mother of 3 adult children and a mother of 3 grandchildren. I'm a retired civil servant, but my life career, even though I started in journalism, I ended up working with youth for over 3 decades before retiring. Even while I was working with youth, I continued to do programming, life skills programming for our children in those days because there are not too many Black kids around. And because I work in corrections, most of what my work with the kids in the community is to make sure that they're well-grounded, they don't end up in the system where I am working at. And also doing parenting skills, training for other parents. So that's what brings me to this space. So since retirement, I've written a few books, and one of them, or at least 5 in a series, it's called Grandma and Her Munchkins, which is an everyday adventure that activities that a grandpa does with the grandchildren, which also takes us to what we're going to be discussing today. But my latest book is it's called For the Grandchildren. It's a book about wisdom from grandparents from around the world, and I happen to have contributed to that book. So you will see that my life mission and passion has always been about kids, about well-adjusted kids, about paying attention to our kids, about preventing problem rather than trying to find solution. Well, we can still find solution, but we find the solution before it escalates. So that's me in a nutshell. And I've been in Canada for 46 years now. So I think that qualifies me, among other things, to talk about parenting in Canada. So before we begin, I would like to have a disclaimer. I am not your typical Nigerian parent or grandparent. So you will hear some things that I would say or talk about that may go not against necessarily, but not in line with what we come with as Nigerian parents. But that is not to say that I became that because I live here. I believe that it came with the way I was raised, even though I was raised in Lagos, Nigeria. So everything that's about me as a parent also came from my upbringing, which was not perfect. It was good, but it wasn't perfect because there are certain things that my parents or my mother did that I avoided doing with my own children. So we will talk about that. The other thing too is that I would like to let people know that I am faithful, but I'm not religious. So I'm going to also delve into or touch a little bit there, how we use religion to parent. And I will give you my take on it. I'm faithful. I have faith. I believe in higher power, but I'm not religious. So just to put that out there before we get going. Okay, so what else do I want to tell you? So we will begin by understanding your children. May I please ask from the people in the house, what are their children's age group? Although we will talk about children generally, but for the people who are present currently, what are the children's age group?
I could try to put a poll out there. Okay, yeah, just answer in the chat. Okay, so better. Yeah. Okay. I see 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10, 12. There are some 2, 5, 4, 3, 4, 4 years old, 5 months old, 5, 2, 4. So we have some toddlers, we have some older kids.
So I asked the question so that I can meander when I'm talking, so I know, how to say what I need to say about certain age group, and about certain age group. So that's why I asked that. So understanding your children.
Sorry, ma, I have 24, 20, and 9. You missed my number.
My apologies.
You have 24-year-old and 20 and 9-year-old?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good. That gives me another unique sector to address. And I also wanted to ask if people can just put their questions in the chat as we talk, because I like it when people ask questions and I can address their concern rather than me talking. So I'm going to do the presentation really quickly because I want to give the chunk of the time to answering specific questions, if that's okay. All right. So understanding your child or your children. What do I mean by this? What I mean by this is every child is different. Every child is different. Every child have their own knacks. They have their likes, the dislikes. Every child learn differently. Some, if you have 2, 3, 4 kids, you will know that each one of them have their own unique personalities because God created us in different ways with different, gifts and talents and challenges. So knowing your child will help you help your child to develop in a way that is trauma-free and stress-free. So knowing your child, and under this knowing your child or understanding your child, I want to bring in here too about, because we're going to relate this to violence, family violence. How many people in our midst here believe in beating a child when they misbehave? How many people believe in, some people will say spanking a child. I say beating a child. As long as you're inflicting some kind of pain on a child, it's beating a child.
Does it depend on the gravity?
That's what I just said. As long as what you've done will hurt that child and that child will cry, that is beating a child. So again, also, that's my stance. I don't believe in beating a child in order to get them to behave. So we'll talk more because you will have questions for me. So if you understand your child, you know their strengths, their weaknesses, their likes, their dislikes, you know how they try to get your attention. If you take time to know all of those, you will not need to beat that child. So that is that. I'm going to park that there for now. So now we go to the use of discipline, which is connected to beating a child. So discipline should be used as a teaching tool, as a teaching moment, as an educating moment, as a time where you explain yourself to your child while you want that child to stop misbehaving, and providing that child the alternative to misbehaving, as opposed to a punitive tool. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to have question and answer and the takeaways. So let's begin. So you understand your child or your children. I put a few here by observation, because you have carried this child for 9 months. And I believe you were there when this child was delivered. So you are the first, the only, the commander-in-chief of this child. You're the only one who can love this child beyond anybody else. So you should take time to observe the child in order to guide, to love, to mold this individual, this human. You need to engage with your child. What is engagement? Engagement is actually taking time to talk. You know, so we have people here who have toddlers. Toddlers may not be able to talk, but they understand what we say. They understand our body languages. They understand the tone of our voices. They understand our emotions towards them. So even though they could not talk, you can still engage with them as a mother. When you see toddlers or 2-year-old, 3-year-old touching stuff, they touch things and they look back to see if you are watching or not. That is them trying to gauge your reaction. They're trying to gauge your reaction. What is going to be the reaction? Is it going to be acceptance or is it going to be discouraged? Yes, Nigerians, Africans, we tend to go, pow, get out of there. I told you, get out of there. That is not raising a child. And the other thing too is that when you engaging them, you are also teaching them how to be engaged with you. If you engage them, if the engagement is typically chaotic or typically negative, well, you're more or less reinforcing the bad behavior because they know that's how they're going to get your attention. So that's what they do. And you are normalizing bad behavior. You are normalizing negative interaction. So we will also go through a few other things you can do to engage your children. And we'll get to it in details later. Social interactions. In the society or community where we came from, there is a saying that says that children must be seen, not to be heard. In Western society, specifically in Canadian society, children are encouraged to be heard. Children, you know, those of you who have elementary school age children or who have pre-teens in schools, you will notice that when they go to school, they come back to you with lots of questions. That's because they're encouraged to express themselves. They're encouraged to ask questions. They're encouraged to be adventurous. They're encouraged to explore. And what they don't understand, they're encouraged to ask. In the culture where we're coming from, we're taught to not speak. We're taught to not ask questions. So it becomes a conflict. And when kids ask us questions, we think or we interpret it as to, oh, you are questioning me. You know, who are you questioning me? You know, of course, the kids get a smack on the side of the head when they do that. That creates confusion for the kids because they're living in two different worlds. The world of the culture at home and the world outside of home. Mind me, I'm not saying that our culture should be discarded. There are so many parts of our cultures that's worthy of hanging on to, that there are so many of them that we need to unlearn and throw out for the sake of betterment in this culture, in the Canadian culture, not only for us, but for our children and for the whole family as a whole. So social interactions is important. Kids are to be heard here, not only to be seen. They should be seen, they should be heard, they should be listened to, and they should be encouraged to ask questions, because that's the only way we know. That's the only way we learn, by asking questions. So effective communication. We'll talk about effective communication as far as parents, African parents. We yell a lot. And we talk in parables, in a roundabout way, rather than being direct, being clear, being specific. And once you finish getting your point across to the child, acknowledging that they've done what you asked them to do. So that is what is called effective communication. And this applies to adults too. It even applies within family. between husband and wife. Effective communication is crucial to our livelihood. You need to be clear about the message you're trying to get across. You need to explain if the person doesn't understand how to do what you're asking them to do. And you need to acknowledge it when they get it right. And if they haven't got it right, that means you have not explained yourself clearly enough. So you need to do it again. And children need this. They need this. Even when they get it, sometimes they will test you to see if you have forgotten what you told them. So parenting is a lifelong communication process. So it doesn't matter. I have children in their 40s. I'm still explaining and repeating myself sometimes. So I want to take a pause here. Is what I'm saying making any sense? I just don't want to keep talking to myself.
Oh, definitely.
Okay, so I can carry on.
Yes. And
Okay.
someone sent me a question. Should I ask it or maybe afterwards?
Let's finish. My slide is not much.
Okay.
And then because what I'm finding is in order for us to manage the time properly and effectively, some questions when I answer them may lead to answer for some others. So
Sounds
that
good.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
okay. Let me put this down here. Okay. According to the Canadian Council on Learning, children benefit when their parents are, or sometimes they don't, in order to avoid poor communication or poor developmental outcomes. Children benefit from communicating fruitfully about events. Remember, I just finished talking about communication. In our culture, we don't communicate fruitfully and truthfully with our kids. We don't tell them things. We say things are not supposed to know. Kids are not supposed to know that. There are certain things that has to do with family structure, about why we go to work, why they need to go to babysitter, why they need to go to school, why they need to learn in school and do well. There are things that, because of the nature of them being curious, there are things that we need to be telling them, sharing with them. As we share with them, we are soliciting understanding from them, because you tell them something, you follow it up with a question. Do you understand what I just said? If they say yes, you say, tell me in your own words what I just said. What does it mean to you? We don't tell kids stuff. We don't tell them, where money comes from, how we make our money. We don't tell them how it's good to not buy every toys that we see. We need to be truthful, and being truthful also comes with our actions. Sometimes we say one thing to them, but they see us doing other things, something contrary to what we're saying to them. So we need to be truthful with the kids, especially kids in this part of the world. There must be something in the water. They know everything that we think they don't know, especially when it comes to us as their parents, because they live with us, they hear us, they feel us, they understand us. We'll answer those questions later on. So maintain consistency. Parents that regularly follow routines can benefit in their children's behavioral pattern. So there was a question that just floats by that I just see, how do you control a 3-year-old? Make sure that you have consistency in your home. Consistency means exact time of waking up in the morning, exact time of reading books, exact time of going to the park, exact time of eating lunch, exact time of having nap in the afternoon, exact time for eating dinner, exact time for bathing at night, reading for bed, and then going to sleep. You have to maintain consistency. Children, babies like that, they are like clock. You have to maintain consistency. And they ask for it too. They may not ask for it verbally, but they ask for it in their behavior. Use resources available to you to reach out into your own community and build a supportive social network like what we are doing right now. This is a resource that, me presenting to you here is a resource, and you will benefit from it more as we get into the question and answer period. So reach out, ask, because, the journey, a parenting journey doesn't have to be a lonely journey, because many, 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 many women have done it and done it successfully before you. And many, many, many are doing it right now as you are, and many, many, many will come after you. And the challenges are always the same. When people say that, oh, during our time, parenting, raising kids weren't this hard, they are lying. They are lying. Everybody wants their generation to look better than the current generation or the generation that's coming behind. Parenting challenges are parenting challenges. You will have some kids that you can press a remote control and you can raise them without any concern. Or you can have some that have very high energy, and usually when they're high energy like that, they're adventurous, they're curious, they're brilliant, they're restless. So they need to be occupied. They need to be engaged. That's why they are who they are. So from generation before me, my generation, current generation, and generations coming, parenting, it's a lifetime career. So one generation is not better than any other generation. So on this slide here, I've put a supportive social network. I'm not sure, Dayo, if you can copy it or if I can just send it to you later on. People can go click there and they will find all kinds of supportive social networks.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. So take an interest in your child's educational and early developmental needs. So this speaks to all ages of children. The interest in your child's educational and early childhood development from toddler to the 3-year-old to the 5-year-old and the 7-year-old. While you're getting to know your child, this is where you will find out what they are interested in doing. This is where you find out their personality. I have 3 munchkins, 3 grandchildren. One is going to be 11 in January. One just turned 10, one just turned 7. My soon-to-be 11-year-old, at the age of 4, we knew that he's very artistic. He loves to paint. He loves to create. And my whole house is covered in the paintings, like real paintings that he's created since he was age 5. That is his interest. And he hates math. He doesn't like math. He doesn't like anything that has to do with calculation. But because he likes painting, creating, we had to find a way to infuse mathematics or arithmetic into painting to make it interesting and not as stressful for him, and he's thriving. The second one is a numbers whiz. He is hyper than hell, but is a numbers whiz. We had to tame him down. How do we tame him down? He loves soccer. He loves competitive sports. So he's in soccer. He was in karate at one point. He loves languages. So he's in French. He was in Yoruba class at one point. He goes to French school. And he loves music because we have to tame him down. We gave him physical activities to wear him down, and then we gave him guitar and piano lesson to calm him down. That's how we dealt with him. And the little one loves everything music and talking. So he talks all the time. So that's how you support the early development, and that early development will lead into maybe when they are pre-teenagers, and when they get to the teenage years, everything changes. And when everything changes, especially when they start getting their puberty period, and boys are growing, whatever, the mood comes with it. Everything they've loved before, they don't like it anymore, but you have to be patient with them. That is when you invite them in to be part of the solution to what they are going through, instead of us dictating and demanding. It's better to carry them along, give them a voice, a role in shaping their own likes and dislikes. Also here, there is an exercise where it says play that enhances socialization, autonomy, cohesion, calmness, and trust. You can click on that and it will take you to some of those games. Keep an open communication. Here I come again with that communication. Keep an open communication lines about what your child is seeing, learning, and doing, and how those things are affecting him or her. Again, I'm going to go to us as African Nigerian. We default easily into religion. We default easily into, oh, God forbid, or it's not my portion, oh, you will not do this. How will it look if my church finds out, or my pastor finds out, my this, my that? Keep an open communication with your kid. Your child is the most important person in your life. They need guidance, yes, but they need guidance through truthfulness, not by coaxing, not by labeling, not by guilting, not by other people's standards of what this person will say about me or about your child. Be present with your children. Listen to them. And sometimes you don't even have to create a time. You may be driving while they are sitting at the back of the car. Just send them a question. Just give one question and let them ramble on. As they are talking, if you're really listening attentively, you'll be finding out things about them as they are talking, but they won't know that they're talking to you about themselves. That's listening, an open line of communication. And that goes also to open line of communication at home as a family. If we don't listen to ourselves at home, how are we going to listen to the kids? And if the kid sees that we don't listen to each other as parents, they will not trust us to come to us with their concerns or their issue or anything like that. If the kids know that the moment they start telling you something, you are already labeling this, or sometimes, they listen. They hear what we say about other kids. They hear what we say about other people. That also determines for them whether they want to make themselves vulnerable enough to share with you, because they already see you labeling or condemning other people or being judgmental. They won't want to put themselves in that position because you are the most important person in their lives and they already know where you stand on certain things. So they won't want to expose themselves. So here is a big one in our community and in line with, prevention of violence. Use of discipline as teaching versus punitive tools. Use of discipline as a teaching tool versus punitive tool. So I stated earlier on when Dayo asked what was the extent of the spanking. And I say I don't believe in physical punishment. I don't believe in physical punishment because I received a lot of it as a kid growing up. When you love me and you brought me to this life, you are my protector. And since you are my protector, you're the one that I relied on heavily. You should not be the one that's inflicting pains on me. Period. That's my stand. And I have raised, like I said, 3 children, well-adjusted children in Canadian system. Now 3 grandchildren, and I did not spank my kids. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. We just need to know how to do it. And that's what the foundation of this presentation is. Getting to know your kids, their likes, their dislikes, their personality. Are they the quiet one? Are they the overly excited one? Are they the hyper ones? And how to help them manage themselves. So effective communication is the tool. And so we'll go through the do's and don'ts of effective communication. Let's talk. Let's talk instead of yelling. Africans, Nigerians, we yell, we don't talk. Even when husband and wife are having a disagreement. Uh-oh, what did I do? Okay, I'm back. So when we have a disagreement, it's okay to have disagreement because why? We are created differently. Our viewpoints from time to time, actually maybe more often, would differ, but that's how God created us. We can't all think the same all the time. We can't all see the same all the time. And sometimes 2, 3 people will see the same thing, but if you ask each and every one of us what we saw, we'll give 3 different interpretations of what we've seen. That is okay. That's life. So when we have a disagreement, it's an opportunity to talk and to learn from the other person, to learn from the perspective of the other person. And we don't need to yell, especially when we're talking to kids. We don't need to yell. When we yell, guess what they do? They tune us out. They tune us out. They will say, oh, that woman again. They block it out. So they don't hear anything you're saying. So have a conversation, don't yell. Be a positive role model. Maintain a healthy and safe home. I said earlier on, when mom and dad have a disagreement, if they are yelling and screaming, guess what the kids do? They run into their rooms. They run into their rooms because they don't want to hear the noise and the screaming. And it's also traumatic, whether we see it now or we see it in their behavior when they become preteen or teenager, or in their own lives as an adult. Role modeling, positive role modeling at home, it goes a long way. It impacts the life of a child and children for a lifetime. Some, if they are lucky, they will make a commitment to themselves that they will never be like that when they are married or when they grow up. But majority repeat what they've observed at home. Listen more for understanding. I've already said that, and I can't say too much of it. Listen for understanding. Listen for understanding. Ask questions to learn more about your child. They have a lot to say if we only listen, but ask questions. Ask them questions. Ask, how was your day? If they go to daycare, if they go to school, any school for that matter, how was your day? If they say good, you ask them, what made it good? If they say bad, you say, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What made it bad? Let them finish talking what made it bad. Now ask them, how can we make it better tomorrow? Include them in the conversation so they can come up with solutions for themselves. And if they are stuck, that's when you go to now guide them. How can we make it better for tomorrow? Be more involved with their school and extracurricular activities. I have known, especially Nigerian parents, since we have an influx of new immigrants now. The kids go to school, they have parent-teacher interview or orientation, and the parents don't go, even though they've been invited. The kids are playing basketball in school. They are the star in their school, on their team. The parents don't go. I understand that we have to make a living. I understand that we have to put food on the table. I understand that we have to pay the rent, pay the mortgage. But those things should be secondary to your child's well-being. And being involved with them. Oh, somebody asked, is it bad for kids to fear their parents? Absolutely worse, horrible if they fear their parents. So, but we'll talk about it. Yeah, be involved with their schools. Let them know that you appreciate them doing well in school. And if they're not doing well, let them know that you are ready to help them instead of berating them or beating them. So I'm going to leave that there because I'm seeing questions popping up that will wrap into that. Be involved. Yeah, so I've been to schools where I presented, and majority of the kids in the schools, I think 75% Nigerian kids, and most of the things that I got from those kids is that the parents are not involved. They don't know what the kids do in school. They are only concerned about the result, and the report card, it must be A and above. Otherwise, they are not interested. So we go to teaching and punitive again. And I've seen questions coming up. Correction versus punishment. When a kid is done something wrong, you want to correct that behavior. You don't want to punish it. Punishment basically pushes the problem, it sweeps it under the rug, because the kid will have been used to, oh, you're only just going to slap me, and then it will be over. That was me growing up. You're just going to slap me and it will be over. But when you use it as a corrective measure, you dig down into asking questions. You've done this. Why do you think it's okay that you've done what you've done? Tell me, I want to understand how you reason, how you rationalize doing what you've done. It takes more effort, more thought process from the child to go through that steps than getting punished and moving on. Yes, of course, it's also take an effort from the parents to go through that process, but correction have a longer lasting effect than punishment. And also punishment, from where we came from, it made us deceitful. It made us deceitful because we do bad things all the time. If we're caught, we're punished and we move on. But if we go through the correction processes where we're learning right from wrong, why it's okay to do this, why it's not okay to do that, it leaves a long-lasting effect on children. So whether you are around or you are not, they choose to be good. They choose to do right, whether you are around or you are not. But with the punishment mode, it made us tougher and we do really bad things when adults are not watching. Yes, sometimes, not even sometimes, punishment, it's a revenge. Yes. So we'll go through some parenting tips, or maybe I should answer some questions before we go through well, let's do it. Let's do it. So some questions, some of these may answer those questions. Some parenting tips. You need to set limits. You need to set rules that are reasonable and with reasonable expectations. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying that there should not be rules. I'm not saying that there should not be consequences. I'm saying that the crime must fit the consequence. I'm saying that if I'm late going to bed and I've received warning more than twice, that means then that I will be going to bed earlier in order, to make up for those time that I'm missing. So the misbehavior must match the consequence, the expectations. So set limits. I use, for example, a 3-year-old that's misbehaving or whatever. I'm saying that there should be a routine. There should be a routine. One of the things that I set up with my children growing up was, well, now kids have smartwatches and things like that. At that time, we didn't have smartwatches. So they all have watches and they all had clocks, alarm clocks in their rooms. From the time they were 6, 7 years old, they knew to set their own alarm clocks. They knew to get up when that thing goes up. And if they need 5 minutes, if I go in the room, they said, I'm awake, I just need 5 more minutes. I give them the 5 more minutes. If they abuse that 5 more minutes, they don't get it next time. So by the time they become teenagers, I didn't have to wake them up. They woke up themselves. So that's an example of setting routine and expectations, but it has to be reasonable. It has to be within, it has to be achievable as well, depending on that child's capability and personality. Spend quality time with your kids. Spend quality time with your kids. Again, these days, parents are on the phone and they give iPad and whatever to little ones. Aside from the fact that there's adverse, studies have shown that there are adverse effects on the brain development of little kids watching too much screen time on iPad and on telephone. Aside from that, those kids are not learning any social skills. They're not learning any social skills. It may be easier for you as a parent to keep them quiet because of that, but you're doing more damages than the time that you're buying right now. So there is a link there too that you guys can have later on. Be a good role model. I can't stress this enough. Remember that discipline is not punishment. Discipline is correction. Punishment is afflicting pain and vengeance. Praise your kids. Trust yourself and ask for help when in need. When I say praise your kids, we are quick to point out negatives. We're quick to point out what they've done wrong, but we don't talk enough when they've done right. Every one of us, even when we were kids, when we get compliments, nobody gets upset when we get compliments. We all love compliments and we put a smile on our faces when we get compliments. Why not do it freely with our kids when it's deserving? Why not do it freely with our spouses when it's deserving? You know, so praise them when they've achieved. Praise them when they've done something little that's good, rather than just defaulting to looking for when they've misbehaved. Teach your kids social skills. I mentioned that. Reduce iPads, reduce TV shows. The routine, the iPad and the routine can actually fit into the schedule. If you've done this, you know, you've read this book for 20 minutes, you can now have your iPad for 10 minutes. If you've read your book, you've picked up your toys, you can now watch your show for 30 minutes. So there has to be reward system, and that reduces the misbehavior because you've learned to know your child. You know their likes, you know the dislikes. So you work what they like into the behavior. And of course, our impacting them with our cultural values is important. And before any one of you tells me that our cultural values is to spank, I disagree. If any one of you want to tell me that our cultural value is to respect, yes, but respect needs to be earned, not to be demanded. Teach gratitude. Teach gratitude. You will notice here in Canada, instinctively, when you open the door for somebody, they will say thank you. Instinctively, when you are coming behind and somebody is in front of you, they open the door and they will hold it and look behind. That's gratitude. That's little ways of teaching gratitude. Teach them to help other people. Teach them to give. Somebody is shouting a cultural value. I say no. We don't need to scream on top of our lungs in order to be heard. So teach appreciation, teach gratitude. And in teaching gratitude, you're also saying that teaching them it's okay for people to be different from you. It's okay for people to like something other than what you like. It's okay. Make mealtime a family time. When you're eating dinner, I know you're busy. I know immigrants are busy. I was once busy. My husband was once busy. But we made sure that once a day, usually a meal time, even when I was working shift work, one parent always sit down and eat with the kids. Always. Say, I love you. Express love and affection. Yeah, we will say in Nigeria, it's not our this, whatever, but we lie. We lie. The only thing is we say it quietly or maybe when we want to make love. But I love you should come freely. It shouldn't have any attachment. And I want to believe that we choose to have these children because we love having children. So why can't we say we love them and show affection? Remember, what you teach is what they grow up with. Encourage physical activities. Go to the park, go to the library, go to a museum. There are lots and lots of free activities in the city that you don't have to pay for. You just have to look around for them. And you don't have to travel too far. And there are parents groups with reading, with crafts, with, lots of things that you can do with activities. And my children's book that I mentioned that I wrote, Grandma and Her Munchkins, it's basically based on little things that we do, like riding the bus or riding the train, going to the library, going to the park, growing stuff here and there. It doesn't have to cost you anything. Keep up with your kids' routine. Kids change because they grow. Kids are different. You have to keep up with it. You chose to have them, and they must not be a burden to you. Yes, challenges comes. It's your responsibility to find solutions for those challenges. And if they are of age, you can include them in coming up with solutions. I'm going to pause there. This is just a program that my organization is has organized, and it's coming up this Saturday. It's a mental health wellness event for youth, young adults, and parents. I will send the link here. Actually, I can send it on WhatsApp to Dayo to share if you want. It's this Saturday if you're interested. It's free of charge. So these are some other programs that I offer under MUT Consulting. I do life skills program for kids and problem solving, decision making, interpersonal communication, dating and sexuality, peer pressure, addictions, coping with stress, and on and on. And I do parenting classes too. Effective communication, we talk about that. Parenting skills, understanding your teenager. Discipline, we talk about. Coping with stress, general awareness, trouble signs, how to find trouble signs, support groups, and on and on. So that's that. So it's time for question and answer. And of course, I say thank you for listening. My contact information is here, but I'm going to stop sharing now so that we can take the question. And I would like to see the people that I'm talking to. Thank you for your attention. So I'm going to stop sharing now.
Wow, thank you so much, Ma. Do we still have time for questions? Because I know you're at a conference.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. So there were a couple of questions. I think you answered the initial question that was sent to me, but it was about someone had a question that they had recently moved to a new house and they had to change their 5-year-old's school. And then, in the new school, they had been receiving reports and getting calls. And every time they're trying to talk to this child, but eventually someone, I suppose an admin person from that school, reached out to the parents and told them that, look, you have to speak up for your child because this school has a reputation for, I would say maybe labeling or trying to, yeah. So I'm glad you understand label a black
See
child.
what happens is the child is 5 years old.
Yes, in kindergarten.
Big change. Changing school at the age of 5 is left his friends behind. He has to start all over again. Not only starting with new friends, starting with new environment, starting with new teachers, starting with new admins. It's a lot. And that's why I said we must be present at our kids' school. So what I would have done if I were the parents, and it's not too late, is before on day 1, I would take that child and I will gather all his teachers together and say, I would like to present you with my child. This is my child, Lekon, and Lekon will be there. Because this child is seeing you physically supporting him. This is my child, Lekon. Lekon is nervous or anxious about changing school. So you may see that in the behavior, but please bear with him. And I will be, looking at him, getting acknowledgement that he just left his friends behind. He's not happy about it, but I've told him that he will make new friends here. Lekon is brilliant. Lekon likes soccer. Lekon likes this. Lekon likes that. Please help me help my child. Lekon will be, the stress will go down. The teacher, you've indirectly told that teacher that your child will not become their problem, your child will not be labeled. That teacher now have better understanding of what Lekon may be going through and will have more patience in helping Lekon adjust.
Okay. I think you actually answered the question because then they were like, so how do they actually stand up, for their child if their child is already being labeled?
You stand up, but you don't go there to yell and scream and fight. You stand up because you are advocating for your child. And when you're advocating for your child, you want to bring all the good qualities of your child to the forefront. And you would like your child to sit beside you there in front of the teacher so that it's direct information all around. And when you're finished, you take your child, you say, do you feel better? How was that? Don't worry, everything will be okay because mommy is always going to be here to help you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Looking at some other questions here. It seems like iPhone had a lot of questions. iPhone, I don't know if you want to speak, but there's a question here that I think you answered that. How can one manage a 3-year-old who doesn't listen? We answered that one. There's another question. How do you reduce the hyperactivity of a 3-year-old? I think we touched on that as well.
You take it away. They're not in control. You are the mother. But what I've seen where a kid totally had a meltdown when they took the iPad away, because this kid is addicted already to iPad. And some of you that have iPad with little ones, I want you to pay attention to their eye movement. If they start having rapid eye movement, it's beginning to affect their brain development. So from now, go pay attention. When your kids are on iPad for too long, they have rapid eye movement.
Thank you, Ratma. Says, how does the health or lack of it of the household structure, so maybe marriage, single parenting, affect the child or the child's outcome? And what can be done to minimize the negative outcomes? That's another question.
Okay, I'm going to go to the latter, where the person say single parent. We automatically assume that when a child is from a single parent, there is a problem. A child that comes from two parents' household that's disruptive, chaotic, violent, is worse off than a child that comes from a single parent home that's have peace, calm, attentive mother or father, and with set routine. So coming from a single parental home does not automatically determine a child's life or future. What determines a child's life or future is the routine in the house, the calm in the house, the peace in the house, the care in the house. Yes, the child that's coming from a single parent home may have to step up and grow up maybe a little faster, taking more responsibility on. And if you look at it in a positive way, that means they mature and they take care of themselves at an earlier age. But what we want to focus on is a home, whether it's a two-parental home, single-parental home, a home that is calm, a home that is safe, a home that a child can come home and not be afraid of the parents. So somebody put a question there, you know, is it bad to have the kids be afraid of the parents? Yes, it is bad. We are confusing respecting the parents to afraid. I want my child to be free in my home, to respect me because he or she is free, knowing that he or she is safe. But when a child is afraid of you, you've shut them down. You are never going to find out anything that they're doing.
Okay, thank you, Ma. A couple more questions. I'm going to merge this one. It says, how can parents, guardians learn to rein in their reactiveness when their kids make mistakes? And then the comment was, it can be hard to prevent beating or yelling when we are not used to regulating our own emotions. I guess that's on the
right.
parents. But...
That's right. We need to learn to regulate our own emotions. And the question is how? Take a step. You know when you are going to be, and the kids know when you are going to be. So take a deep breath, step back, maybe count to 10 backward. And when you've calmed down, then you call Billy. You say, Billy, I was tempted to yell, but I realized that it's going to be counterproductive. And I know that when I yell at you, you don't like it either. When you tell your kid that you don't like it either, and that kid will say, yes, I don't like it. That is the starter of the conversation. I don't like yelling. You don't like me yelling at you. But why did you do this? Why? You get a conversation going there. If that lasts a long time, that child will think twice before he or she does that again. And if he or she does it again, you count back again and you say, you know, because parenting is a lifetime job. You don't do it once and be finished.
That's true. Forever.
Mm-hmm.
So just on the basis of that, someone wanted to know, how do we balance, or how do we know, you know, when you're trying to keep that atmosphere of being the loving parents, and then you also still have to, you know, maintain structure and things like that. But I think
once you set boundaries and expectation based on mutual respect and understanding, setting rules will not be difficult. Like I said, with my children, the oldest one, I didn't have to worry. Where she said she was going is where she was going. When she said she was coming back is when she came back. She came home one day and said, how come my friends have coffee and I don't have coffee? And I explained what coffee meant. And I said, but if you want coffee, I can give you a coffee. And she quickly says, oh no. I said, you know why you didn't have it is because you are responsible. So you didn't need it. And then she was so happy. Oh, I'm responsible. Whereas my son, when the cell phone started, because my kids are older, he wanted a cell phone so that I can find out where he is. I said, no, I know where you are. You are in school, you're in basketball. If you're going to be somewhere else, go to the school office and call me to get permission. But I'm not going to give you a cell phone so that I can be checking where you are. You know, you have to, there is boundaries, there is freedom, a little in between, and there is expectations. And if the boundaries are crossed, the reward will be diminished. When behavior is good, the reward expands.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Someone had a concern and says, so what if in a house where, say, the mother, you know, is trying not to yell or, you know, use corporal punishment, but the father is bent on perhaps continuing in that way because that's who we are? Is there a way forward to this,
Well,
lack of understanding?
That's a losing battle. And I'll say it's a losing battle because the mother, she can only control herself. She can only regulate herself. She's not responsible for the father's behavior. But she needs to protect that child. She does need to protect that child. And the thing too is, if I were the mother, when the coast is clear, I will call my husband aside, and take a journey back when we were younger, when you are being beaten, because I know that father was probably beaten. When you were being beaten, did you enjoy it? Did you love the person who beat you up when you were young and innocent, when you could not defend yourself? Because that's what it boils down to. When you're beating your child, that's because that child cannot defend themselves. Why don't you beat somebody your size outside of the home? Why didn't you engage in a physical confrontation with somebody your size outside of the home? Why is it that you come home, you're taking it out on somebody who's defenseless? It's a question we must ask ourselves.
Oh, Timothy, there are so many questions. I am not sure we can take any more. I'm not sure we're going to leave here
Have
today.
to get on the road very soon. So let's give it another 5 minutes. So I have to come back next time.
Yes.
Yes, Auntie Moji, because I do not think we're going to get out of here. The questions just keep coming in. I will take a note of all these questions. Perhaps I will try to send them to you, or I'm not sure, maybe when next we're able to, get you on to come. It will probably be maybe more of a question and answer session. We'll
Yes,
work on that.
that's what I was going to. So you can collate all these questions. So when we have the next session, we'll just do question and answer.
Sounds good, Ma. Sounds good. Thank you so much for coming. We really want to respect
I can answer
you.
one more.
Okay, you can answer one more. Okay.
So that I don't have a cold cut.
Okay, sounds good, Ma. I will pick one here. How do mommies handle themselves in terms of anger, annoyance, in the way? Okay, I'm not sure I understand that question, so let me look for another.
Person there, can the person ask it?
Yes, who asked this question? Is this?
It says, how do mommies handle themselves in terms of anger, annoyance, in the heat of the moment when they feel like their child is questioning them?
Okay.
Well, I think we answered that. That has to do with their own emotional regulations.
Yeah.
You have to regulate your own emotion. Yes, remember at the beginning, I said this society encourages kids to ask questions.
Yeah.
So when that kid is asking you question, it's not out of rudeness or disrespect. It's because they are taught to ask question if they don't understand. And sometimes some kids will use it to irritate you because they know you and they know how to push your button. It's up to you as the adult, as the parent in the family, to exercise control. Because the moment you become irritated, the moment you become annoyed, the moment you start yelling, you've reduced your power. You've reduced your power to that child's level.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
We are so blessed to have had this opportunity, with you to share from your wealth of experience. We honestly do not take it for granted, and we appreciate you, Auntie Moji.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
For having me. And just collect those questions, and we'll do it again. It will be question and answer.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
And of course, please, this was brought up, or we're able to bring Auntie Moji as a result of Ruth's House. So Ruth's House, we appreciate you as well. Thank you so much, Mama D, looking out for families. Like we said, November is a Family Violence Awareness Month in Alberta. If you do a little bit of research, you will see that this is actually a huge concern for our province. Tonight, we're going to be having another program, understanding child and family services role in, in families. A lot of people are afraid of this particular government organization. I will encourage you to come
and they don't need to be if they practice what I've just said.
Exactly.
I worked in the correctional institutions, and I was happy to say for my 30 years there, we were able to prevent Nigerian children ending up there because we provided programs in the community level for the kids and the parents on how to adjust, how to adapt, how to connect so that they don't have to worry about that organization.
Wow, that's amazing. Mama D, we will not leave without acknowledging you. Do you want to say anything to us? I was going to refer people to Ruth's House if they have concerns, but please say something as well.
I just want to thank Auntie Moji for the excellent presentation. Much appreciated. You always do a fantastic job. You have the knowledge, the information, and the resources that you provide is so amazing. We are, if anybody needs to access her, please reach out to us. We'll definitely share her information. And those that want to rewatch this broadcast, it's also on YouTube and Facebook. So you can please share the link so that others can participate in it. I think, like Auntie Moji said, if we do the right thing, we don't need to worry about child and family services. The only reason why they get involved is because of our lack of knowledge and lack of information, and our community operating in fear. We don't need to operate in fear. And so with everything she has shared today, please take it in, take stock of it. And if you have any concerns, reach out to Ruth's house and we will be happy to work alongside of you. We have our weekly children's programs and Youth with a Voice programs. And those are really excellent, online programs that supports children and youth and the family as well. And so tonight, if you can join in on this for another information and educational webinar, Understanding Child and Family Services Role in Our Families, I think it's pretty important that we all participate and learn and ask questions. This is a great topic. And Auntie Moji, we could be here for hours with you.
Hours, yes. And I enjoy it.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it. I didn't realize that it was an hour when Dio says, do we have time? Yeah.
So thank you so much. Over to you, Dio.
The YouTube link with me so that I can put it on my own YouTube too.
For sure.
Yes.
And reach more.
Yes. And Auntie Moji, I'll follow up with you on the slides and the resources so that we can also share them as well.
Yes. I'll do that as soon as I get home.
Oh, thank you so much, Ma. We appreciate it. Thank you so much, everyone, for making this session. We look forward to seeing you in the evening, and we look forward to seeing you at any other sessions that we will be having, shortly. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.